can tell you is the conversations that we had before the attack, and then what we learned right after the attack began. So, of course, we're not naive. We could see that there was some kind of military buildup happening. We certainly had UN employees who were tracking this and saying, this doesn't look good. So there was an Arab League meeting that took place in Tunis in the last week of March. Last week of March. And in that meeting, so the Secretary General was there and Dr. Salama was there. And they were asking, is there something being planned? Everyone was, no, there are no indications. There are no indications. They went to Cairo after that. They had conversations there. They asked. And this was like the day before. And by the way, I was in Tripoli at that time, and I was meeting with the general staff, the chief of the general staff of the armed forces in Western Libya, in Tripoli. And Salam Joha, who was the deputy, came into the room and said, there are forces that are moving. Mm-hmm. I called our team in Cairo. I called, the Ghassan and the Secretary General. And I said, hey, but they kept on being told, no. It's just, don't worry. Yes. And then the authorities, all of the countries that we were talking to, by the way, said, no, we don't see anything. There's nothing, So it's always been a question for me, whether he just acted and heard what he wanted to hear, because he had made very clear in some past conversations, yes, that he wanted to, he was ready to move into Tripoli and get rid of the terrorists, and, all of that stuff. But he had also engaged in political dialogue. So he had really had two sets of talking points that he would use that were not, they were in contradiction with each other, let's say. So then the Secretary General arrives into Tripoli on the night of the 3rd, and the attack takes place on the 4th. And it's quite shocking because the Secretary General came to Libya to support the National Conference. And by the way, his wasn't a last-minute visit. We were planning his visit for 3 weeks. They knew exactly when he was coming. So also the decision to attack on that day really is quite stunning. Right?